Good evening, and welcome to Future Forward. Tonight, we're discussing a question that's very important for parents, teachers, and students across the country. Are our schools preparing students for the real world? Or should they focus more on teaching practical life skills? To help us explore this topic, we have two expert guests with us today. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. David Chen. He's a high school English teacher with 15 years of experience, and he believes that a change in our education system is necessary. Welcome, Mr. Chen.
Thank you for having me, Sarah.
And our second guest is Dr. Elena Petrova. Dr. Petrova is a history professor at a well-respected university, and she defends the value of a traditional academic education. Welcome to the show, Dr. Petrova.
It's a pleasure to be here.
The format for our debate will be simple. Each guest will begin with an opening statement. After that, we'll have a discussion. And finally, each guest will give their closing remarks. So let's begin. Mr. Chen, we'll start with you.
Thank you. I want to start with a short story from my classroom. Just last week I was teaching a wonderful group of students. They are brilliant minds. They can analyze classic literature and write beautiful essays about complex themes. But after class, a few of them told me they were worried about the future. They admitted they didn't know how to create a simple budget for their money. They didn't know how to cook a basic, healthy meal or how to write a professional email to apply for a job. This is a serious problem. It made me think deeply about the purpose of education. I believe the main goal of school should be to prepare students for a successful and independent life after they graduate. Academics are part of that, but they're not the only part. Another important point is student engagement. Many students feel that subjects like advanced mathematics or ancient history are not connected to their lives. They ask, when will I ever use this? When we teach practical skills, that question disappears. Learning becomes relevant and immediately useful. Imagine a student learning about taxes and then being able to help their parents with their tax forms. That's powerful. What kind of skills am I talking about? I mean personal finance, which includes budgeting, saving, and understanding debt. I mean basic home and car maintenance, so young people don't have to call for expensive help for a simple problem. I also mean digital literacy that goes beyond social media, like how to protect your privacy online or create a professional website. And of course, effective communication for the workplace is essential. To be clear, I'm not saying we should remove academic subjects completely. That would be a mistake. I'm asking for a better balance. We need a system that ensures all students, not just the ones who plan to go to university, leave school with the confidence and the practical skills they need to build a good life.
Thank you, Mr. Chen, for that clear and passionate statement. Dr. Petrova, we'll now hear your opening statement.
Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Mr. Chen, for your thoughts. I agree that practical skills are important for a successful life. Nobody can argue with that. However, the main question is this: is the school the primary place to learn them? Historically, these skills were taught by families and learned through life experience. I believe that the school has a different, more unique and essential role, which is to develop a student's mind. The academic subjects we teach are the best tools we have for this important job. My main argument is about foundational knowledge versus specific skills. Subjects like history, science, and literature are not just collections of facts. They teach students how to think critically. They teach them how to analyze complex information, identify patterns, and solve difficult problems. These are deep, flexible abilities that can be applied to any situation in life. Let me give you an example. A person who has learned how to think critically by studying history can easily learn the practical skill of creating a budget. They can find information, analyze it, and make a logical plan. However, a person who only knows how to make a budget may not have the skills to understand a complex political issue or evaluate scientific news. Then there's the time problem. The school day is limited. If we add more courses on practical skills, like cooking or car maintenance, we must remove something else. What do we remove? Do we teach less science, less world history, less literature. Doing this would weaken the core academic foundation that benefits all students in the long run. In conclusion, our current academic system is designed to provide a strong foundation. This foundation gives students the intellectual tools they need to learn any practical skill they want in the future and to adapt to a world we cannot yet predict.
Thank you, Dr. Petrova. You've both given us a lot to think about. Now, let's move into our discussion. I'd like to ask a few questions to explore your ideas further. Dr. Petrova, you argue that academic subjects teach critical thinking. Mr. Chen, some people might agree with Dr. Petrova and say that practical skills are just about following simple instructions. How can learning to cook or change a tire build the mind in the same way as studying history or science?
That's an excellent question, and it points to a common misunderstanding. I believe that teaching practical skills is a fantastic way to teach critical thinking, but in a real hands-on way. It's not just about following a list of instructions. It's about problem solving. For example, a cooking class is not just about reading a recipe. It's applied chemistry and mathematics. Students learn what happens when you heat sugar, why oil and water don't mix, and how to measure ingredients accurately. If an ingredient is missing, they have to think of a creative solution. That's critical thinking in action. Let's take a personal finance class. It requires complex decision-making and long-term planning. Students have to analyze their spending, compare different bank accounts, and understand the risks of borrowing money. These subjects make abstract thinking skills concrete and useful. It's learning by doing, which is often the most effective way to learn.
That's a very interesting perspective. Thank you, Mr. Chen. Now, I have a question for you, Dr. Petrova. Mr. Chen made a strong point about student engagement. We know that many students feel bored or disconnected in the classroom. If students feel that school is not for them because the subjects are too abstract, are we failing them by sticking to a purely traditional curriculum?
I certainly acknowledge that student engagement is a serious challenge in modern education. No teacher wants their students to be bored. However, I don't believe the solution is to remove important, foundational subjects. The solution is to improve how we teach them. A great teacher can make any subject exciting. A great history teacher can connect past events to today's news, making history feel alive and relevant. A great math teacher can use real-world examples to show students how mathematics is a part of their daily lives. So, instead of changing the curriculum to something that might be less challenging, we should focus on supporting our teachers. Let's give them the training and the resources they need to make these academic subjects engaging for all students. The goal should be to raise students up to meet the challenge, not to lower the challenge to meet the students.
So better teaching methods, not a different curriculum. It sounds like you both want what's best for students, but you see different paths to get there. I wonder, is there a middle ground? Is it possible to find a compromise? Mr. Chen, what do you think?
I absolutely believe there is a middle ground. My goal has never been to eliminate academics. A wonderful compromise would be to integrate practical lessons into existing academic subjects. This approach would not require a complete change to the school schedule. For example, in a math class, a teacher could spend a few weeks on a project where students create a detailed personal budget. In an English class, a unit could focus on professional communication, where students learn to write resumes, cover letters, and formal emails. This way, students learn the practical skills they need, while also reinforcing their academic knowledge in math and English. It connects the two worlds.
That sounds like a very practical solution. Dr. Petrova, could you support an approach like that?
That's a more reasonable suggestion than creating entirely new, separate courses. I can see some value in using practical examples to teach academic concepts. However, I still believe that some of the more specific skills, like home repair or cooking, do not belong in the core curriculum. A better compromise, in my opinion, would be to offer these skills as optional programs. They could be after-school clubs or short workshops offered a few times a year. This allows the students who are genuinely interested to learn these skills without taking away valuable time from the core academic curriculum that every student needs.
Thank you both. It seems we have two possible compromises: integration into existing classes or optional after-school programs. This has been a very productive discussion. Now it's time for your closing statements. Mr. Chen, you have the floor.
Thank you. I want to leave you with one final thought. My core message is simple. Education must serve all students, not just the ones who are academically gifted. Right now, too many young people are walking out of our schools feeling unprepared for the basic challenges of adult life. We have a duty to fix that. A balanced education that includes both academic knowledge and practical skills is not a, quote, a weaker education. In fact, it's a stronger, more complete, and more compassionate one. It respects the fact that people have different talents and different paths in life. Let's prepare our students for the tests of life, not just for a life of tests.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. And now, Dr. Petrova, for your closing statement.
I'd also like to leave the audience with a final thought. My core message is that the most important skill we can teach a student is the ability to learn, to reason, and to adapt to change. If we focus too much on the specific practical skills that are useful today, we might not prepare our students for the challenges of tomorrow. The world is changing quickly, and the jobs of the future will require skills we cannot even imagine yet. A strong foundation in science, history, and the arts is the best preparation for any future because it builds a flexible and powerful mind. Let's give our students a map and a compass so they can find their own way. If we only teach them to follow one road, they'll be lost when that road ends.
Thank you, Dr. Petrova, and thank you to both our guests, Mr. David Chen and Dr. Elena Petrova, for sharing your insightful perspectives on this important issue. You've clearly defined the central conflict of this debate. On one side, there's a call for a new balance in education, to mix practical skills with academic subjects. On the other side, there's a strong defense of a traditional academic foundation as the best tool for lifelong learning. Thank you to our audience for watching Future Forward. We encourage you to continue this important conversation at home. Good night.